What is up, my little Deinos? Vepsis here, your coach of the Helsinki Dragons, and I'm back for my NPL tryout tournament game number 2 when we are going up against the Carnie Hobo and his team being the Vancouver Stealth Rocks. If you haven't seen my first game when we had to face a Weakness Policy Claydol, you definitely want to go and check it out. The link should be down below in the description. And when it comes to our opponent happens to be actually a coach part of the NPL, and he has been part of it for quite a bit of a while already, so he doesn't have the same pressure to perform to get into the league itself like we do. But either way, I should not approach it any differently than I normally do when it comes to any kind of battle. So I'm definitely going in, not trying to underestimate him by one bit, and try to get the maximum result that I can possibly get, which is by winning and hopefully get a highest difference as possible by going at it. So that is the kind of the situation we are seeing it. Besides what you can tell from the layout, this is actually the third game for Carnie in our pool, and this is, like I've been mentioning, our second game. So hopefully we can keep out the winning or start off a winning streak here, and giving us a really good chance to get into second round of the tournament out of our first pool. And the question of the day will be that what is your favorite wish passer, what do you have chance to use in a draft league format? And the reason why I'm bringing up this as a question of the day is that our opponent Carnie Hobo has actually 3 different wish passes on his team, which is kind of disgusting when you think about it, to have to deal with it. So that's basically what I have to prepare for. And the draft what he actually has is Mega Scissor, Incineroar, Salamence, which is one of his sea captains, Mamoswine, Aromatisse, Delmice, Mienshao, Standler, which is one of his sea captains as well, Blissey, and Toracat, which is also one of his sea captains, which is the third one. Then he has also Vaporeon and Tryout rounding out his draft and giving him the 4th sea captain, what he named for himself. So he has a Salamence, which is a threat, and then he has 3 other sea captains, cause why not? So it's a quite a interesting draft what he has done for himself, and this is kind of his reputation of that he doesn't lack kahunas department, not trying out different mods in a draft league format or in tournaments. So he is giving a try now for Standler and Toracat and J-Dot, and he has actually used Standler I believe once in his game, one of his 2 games, and then he used Toracat in one of his games as well. So maybe we see J-Dot, who knows. But from what I expect him to bring is basically the first 4 mons, because those are his best mons, and they actually match up pretty well versus me, at least how I see it. And then it's between rest of his roster what he feels like using, that what is going to be the last 2. I would be highly surprised if one of those 4 first mons doesn't come, but it's honestly better for me if they doesn't. So going through the team hopefully quickly, and then giving the idea of what is the goal behind it, is that we are gonna be starting off with a Gliscor. And the reason why Gliscor is coming is that for the most part it can deal relatively well versus most of the mons what he has. And mainly stopping the Incineroar clicking is only stab, being the electric stab. I want to have immunity for it, and I also have enough special defense to avoid 2-hit KOs from hidden power ices from Mienshao or Incineroar, for example. Or basically from Incineroar's case, it's basically that I'm avoided from the most scenarios as possible, not being one-shotted after Stealth Rocks from a life orb hidden power ice. So that's the benchmark, I guess, how I could best explain it. And then I basically put the rest on physical defense to help me out to deal with things like Mienshao on the physical side of hits. I can take hits from Salamence a little bit better, and I have Ice Fang for it. I can pivot around the Mega Scissor and get out of there if I need Gliscor to tank one hit and get out of there. And basically, for the most part, barring the Mamoswine and Vaporeon, I can basically take any one hit from majority of the things what he could bring versus it, or I can let Gliscor to take it on. So I really like how Gliscor should be able to deal and provide us some momentum, and Protect is there to activate our Poison Heal. It's also there to rack up Toxic Spikes damage, because we are gonna be bringing Toxic Spikes on this team, because he doesn't have immunity to it. with a grounded poison type to absorb them. so they can be very effective versus him. And then we have EQ for Stab and Ice Fang I mentioned for the Salamence. So that is the idea there with Gliscor, very simple. And then we have Yuxi as the second member, which is there to provide us Stealth Rocks and a switching to that Mamoswine, cause we don't want that Mamoswine just force our switches when I'm feeling uncomfortable versus it, and then shit starts dying and just team falls apart from there. That's what Mamoswine loves to do, and what is so scary about it, that it can do it so effectively if you don't have proper answers for it defensively wise. So you have to kind of deal with it a lot of ways, like try to outspeed it and kill it as quickly as possible, and deal with it if it's so a Scarf, and if you have a switching for it you definitely want to bring it. So this is kind of like our answer to that, the best one that I have in my roster to deal with it. And we are running Stealth Rocks, which is really important for me, because then I can rack up some cheap damage on his team, punish like Salamence for taking 25%, etc. And it's gonna kind of round out the hazard stacking route with Toxic Spikes what I have on my team. And Tentacruel will be the third member which I cover, which is my Toxic Spiker. So having both the Stealth Rocks on this and Toxic Spikes on the Tentacruel will help me out wearing him down, and hopefully with the U-turn options what I have on my team with these first two, and then there's gonna be another one waiting in the back, that if I'm able to utilize momentum in this game and pivot around the threats that I'm most scared of currently, I should be in a good spot. And foreplay is there to just as a general attacking mode to hit like Delmice really hard. I can hit Scizor pretty hard with it if it's setting up. Incineroar I'm dealing really good damage. Salamence I'm hitting a really good damage. So a lot of his physical threats, and Mamoswine while adding it, like a lot of his threats are offensive orientated, so foreplay should be really helpful versus those. And then I have Reflect, cause yet again going with the idea that his team is so physically offensive orientated, Reflect should be a really cool option to have, even if it's like 4 to 3 turns for me. Those turns can be really crucial for me on those moments to be able to make sure that he cannot kill me, and ideally I can kill him back. So that is the idea there. And then, like I've been mentioning, Toxic Spikes and Tentacruel coming, let's cover him next. So we have Tentacruel with a modest nature with Surf, Sludge Bomb, Toxic Spikes and Rapid Spin. And why we are running modest and as much special attack is basically that we can go along with the idea that Mamoswine doesn't force switches and just shit dying from outside of the field, and putting us in a really awkward position in that regard. Ideally, if I'm being able to identify that the Mamoswine is not Choice Scarf, we can outspeed it with the speed investment what we have, and after either one turn of Toxic Spikes or one turn of Stealth Rocks, and when it's basically at 88% and it's the standard offensive spread, I can kill it with a Surf. So that is the kind of the benchmark and idea with the IV spread in there. I didn't want to go Scald, because then I have to invest even more, and then it takes a lot less bulk for me to have less bulk. And Hydro Pump, there's always a risk of missing it. So I felt like Surf was the middle ground best option in that sense, to deal with the Mamoswine with the Water Stab, and then I have Sludge Bomb to hit everything else what I'm not hitting with Water Stab. And then the Toxic Spikes and Rapid Spin is just for the hazard control and hazard stacking support what we have with this team. And what I'm kind of emphasizing on that I have that on my team besides what I will be bringing as offensive weapons. And let's talk about the offensive weapons, and one of my main breakers, which is gonna be Heracross. Alan is gonna make his debut for this tournament, and he is here to break through those defensive walls and make them a liability if he tries to save them for too long. And the idea with that is that I'm able to bring in Gliscor, Yuxi, or the member after this, which I still yet to cover. I can utilize those things to lure his walls in with the U-turn, and then I can bring this guy in, and then he's gonna be like, alright, who is dropping next? And we are gonna claim a kill. That is the idea with the Heracross, basically Flame of God set with Close Combat, Facade and Clock Off. Sword Dance is just in case if I find a turn that I need to go for a Sword Dance, so I can predict like a Protect turn from a Vaporeon or whatever, like Aromatisse. If I have to predict a Wish Protect combo turn coming in from my opponent's behalf, I can go for the Sword Dance and then demand a kill from there. So that is the idea there. Enough speed to outspeed Solimax Speed Mamoswine, cause why not? I didn't have to risk anything else with him being adamant and lacking damage output. I should be able to do enough damage with being Jolly Nature versus his team. So the next mon after this will be a special offensive threat and a very good partner with Heracross, luring the things in that Heracross would love to coming, and that is gonna be our Mega Pidgeot. And Mega Pidgeot is here, just spam his flying stab, because his only resist to it is Incineroar. And after that, the best option for him to take the hits would be the Blissey, Aromatisse or Vaporeon, whichever he would be bringing, or if he has more than one of those things in. So basically what I can do is that if he doesn't have anything else than Incineroar, I'm making it take a lot of recall or a lot of damage with her, trying to take this modest Hurricane from Kevin. Or I'm able to go for a U-turn and learn those pheromones in for Heracross to come in. And then we have Protect to rack up Toxic Spikes damage if I find a turn that I need it for. And then I have Roost for recovery. I didn't want to put Heat Wave there because I felt like recovery can actually be useful in some scenarios, what I was going through in my team build. So that is the idea there. And in outspeed to outspeed, max speed Jolly Mienshao, if I remember right, that makes the most sense, and that's why we are able to run Modest Nature, because he has a big speed tier gap between Incineroar and Mienshao on his team, so Mega Pidgeot can take advantage of that. And the last member of our team will be a pretty exciting mon for me, hopefully, to utilize in this matchup because of its set, and that is gonna be Z-Snatch Incineroar, making its debut not for only for this tournament but for myself in Draft League format. I never had chance to use Incineroar before, so this should be a really cool way to at least have chance to see that how I like it with a very unique set, which I don't think a lot of people at least have given a chance to try or seen it being in action in Draft League games. So hopefully we can make it work. And Z-Snatch, Fire Punch, and the signature move, which I cannot now pronounce, but either way, like the dual stab is basically there to make sure to cover everything what I need to hit. I should be able to hit with one of them at least neutral, if not super effectively, and then I have Sword Dance as well to give me that extra push if he tries to intimidate Shuffle. If he has like physical defensive Salamence to deal with me, I can just get this Sword Dance up and make sure I kill it. I can also Oko a Mamoswine after Stealth Rocks at +2, I remember that was another benchmark what I needed for with the attack investment plus this Sword Dance. And then we have enough speed to make sure that a Choice Scarf Mamoswine, even being Jolly max speed, will get outsped by 1 or 2 points after us being at +2 speed with the Z-Snatch. And that means also that we outspeed the Incineroar, making sure that this would be ideally the fastest one in the field. As long as he doesn't bring like Choice Scarf or Salamence, that would be the worst case scenario if he brings that and we are not able to pick it off. Or we are not able to take a hit from it anymore when he tries to come in and revenge kill us. But I don't see that coming. I don't see Scarf Salamence being his ideal set. Hopefully, crossing our fingers going into this game. So that is the team, and now it's time to go and see that what is our opponent Carnie Hobo is gonna bring versus us, and how the battle actually went. And some surprises that I didn't see, or we are not gonna be seeing the Mega Scissor or Salamence coming, so he's bringing a lot slower and fatter team than I even expected from his roster, and none of the fun lower price mods didn't see coming either. So there's gonna be Blissey, Aromatisse, Mamoswine, Incineroar, Vaporeon, and Dhelmise. And what this tells me from team review to me that one only hazard remover is the Dhelmise. So if I'm able to eliminate that, that would be the ideal. That would be the most ideal situation for me. That's the first one I'm able to eliminate. Then I see Mamoswine and Incineroar being his main offensive threats, and there's a massive gap on his speed tiers what he brought us. So I'm kinda expecting the Mamoswine having to be Scarf, cause non-Scarf Mamoswine plus all the fat he brings is just, it doesn't seem making too much sense to me at least. So I'm kinda expecting that Mamoswine being Choice Scarf, and that's gonna influence how I have to play around it until I know what it is. And after that, the big key element to this is that he doesn't have a immunity to Toxic Spikes. So if I'm able to get up my Stealth Rocks and Toxic Spikes, and I'm able to utilize Heracross to break through that triple Whiz-Passing Core that he brought, I can be in a really good position and have a lot of fun. So that's kind of what I was hoping, and the things that I thought in my head going into this game. I'm gonna be leading off with my Yuxi to make sure that if this is a lead, or the Mamoswine is a lead, or whatever is a lead, that I can either go for a 4-play or I can go for my Stealth Rocks. And here, because the Deinos is out, I knew that alright, I want to weaken this thing and beat it 1v1 because of our 4-play. Because he should not be able to 2-shot us back unless he was banded, and then I would have been able to know if it is banded, which I thought was very unlikely that it's going to be based on his team. So here I'm able to put him in an awkward position that either he stays in and takes another 4-play and just dies, or he's gonna be forced to swap out, which was very likely to me. So I went for the Stealth Rocks because it was very safe for me, because even if he stayed in, I knew I'd take another hit and then I kill it back afterwards. So to me it was a very no drawback going for that Stealth Rocks on the following turn. And then I U-turned out versus this Blissey, and this was like, alright, I'm gonna be a little bit more patient, not go just all in with Heracross and potentially take a flamethrower. I'm gonna take my safer route and kind of scout what this Blissey has for me, and what it's running as a moveset, and EVs wise how much it's doing damage to me. And then I can get up my Stealth Rocks as the Mamoswine comes in. I was like, alright, this thing is in. I don't know what it is yet. If it shows Scarf, I need to scout for it. I'm not willing to risk Tentacool, especially how good it is to deal with the Aromatisse and Vaporeon to kind of pivot around them if needed to. And I was kind of okay letting him to get the Stealth Rocks if he felt confident enough like he did to get them up and force me out. So I was like, alright, I'm gonna give you this turn of Stealth Rocks to get them up on my side of the field, because now I can go into Yuxi and I can go for the Reflect. I was kind of expecting him to still be Scarf and he would be swapping out, so I could be able to get Reflect and then U-turn accordingly what is in front of me. But he stayed in and go for the Stone Edge, being his hardest hitting move. So I was like, alright, I'm taking 8%, I don't really care about that Stone Edge. I'm taking my hit, and because of how well I take that hit and I got the Reflect up, I was like, there's no way you're staying in. You're gonna swap out into something, so I'm gonna U-turn on it. And if one of these Fat Walls comes in, Alan is gonna have some fun. And I don't see any switchings to my Heracross, even to Facade. I don't care if the Deinos comes in and has a Super Berry, which you're gonna see that it does actually have, and he's gonna be in a range of that getting activated. Because I have those Toxic Spikes up, that basically puts in a range that it should be in a range of knockoff 90% of time. I think, depending on if it's max HP, which is very likely that it is, and depending on if he has defense investment, it becomes a little bit of a roll, but it should be in my favor. And fuck yeah, Alan is gonna come through and he's going to be able to knock out his only hazard remover, meaning that those Toxic Spikes are there to stay, and also my Stealth Rocks, and that is phenomenal for me at this point. And now we are behind a Reflect, and instead of going into Aromatisse, which I feel like was his better play to take a hit and kill me afterwards and forcing my Heracross out, he goes to his Mamoswine. I was like, looking at my cogs, I was like, get the fuck out, son. Even if you were Chopo Berry max HP, there was no way you're living that. And that was hilarious to see that Mamoswine was able to do 13% to us with a Ice Shot, and we knocked the fuck out of it back. And we don't have to deal with it. You have no idea how happy I was that those turns went like they did, and he actually went to the Mamoswine, which I still believe was a misplay. He should have gone into Aromatisse, take the Facade if necessary and kill me out and not lose the Mamoswine like he did. But because he gave me Mamoswine like he did, I was like, okay, Yuxi, you can deal with the Zeraora as it comes in, and I can take basically even 2 Plasma Fits from this thing, as long as it's not Life Orb, as long as it's not like Saplate or anything like that to boost it up. And I can basically go for a Reflect here or go for the U-turn. And I decide to go for the U-turn based on that I can basically see that if he has knockoff to hit me and decides to stay in, or more likely he's gonna force out and not take the 4-play and die to a Toxic Spike recall from there, or to straight up die to the 4-play itself, I can gain the momentum And now because he went to the Aromatisse, I can react to that accordingly, go into my Tentacruel, Rapid Spin the Stealth Rocks away, and ideally if he doesn't have Stealth Rocks on the ability and run dual Rockers, hazards are no longer to be in my side of the field. And now this Aromatisse reveals to be Calm, and I was like looking at my cards like, hold on, was that a joke? Am I dealing with a threat? And then I realized like, hold on Kenny, you're modest this time around. You're not a threat, Aromatisse. You're getting two-shotted by my little Kenny right here. And we are basically able to put him in a position that if he's running Protect as his last move, he's still not gonna be able to 1v1 us, because he's basically just burning out his Wish Protects and not be able to set up further. And we are doing enough with the Poison Recall that he's not going to be able to find a turn to Calm Mind back up and keep going with his setup. And if he's gonna be sacking his Aromatisse basically and try to get the Wish Pass into something else like the Incineroar, I can still go for the Sludge Bomb and basically nullify the recovery he's able to gain from that Wish Passing. So he basically gained like maybe 5% in the progress with his Incineroar, which I'm okay with because he's getting whittled down. I had Uxie to coming on this. I'm still not risking my Gliscor at this point in time because I have no reason not to. Because yet again, Uxie was able to take those Plasma Fists just fine. You saw that it wasn't a 2-shot. And on this turn I decided that okay, I'm gonna go for the Reflect just in case if he stays in. And he still covers the play that if he swaps out, I can still take advantage of this and go for a U-turn, either being a fast one or a slow one. I expect it to be a fast U-turn, but it turns out to be that I'm going for a slow U-turn because this Vaporeon, for whatever reason, it's either running a ton of speed, which doesn't make sense to me, or it's a random choice Scarf which he decided to slap on it. And here I was like, alright, if it's choice Scarf, he's gonna stay in, I can U-turn and he's gonna die on this U-turn or the Toxic Recoil. Or if it's a random ass max speed Vaporeon, he might just live this, but then he's only going for the Scald or Wish and then he's gonna die on the following turn. At that point I was like, alright Kenny, just go in there. I don't really care if the Incineroar comes in again because we are behind a Reflect. And then I have two options. I can either see that what kind of range that Incineroar should be at, and it's gonna be in a range that Sludge Bomb is actually a decent chance to pick it off from here, depending on if he has how much HP investment and Speed F investment, or one of them. And I was like, okay Kenny, you're behind a Reflect now, you can take this thing on, you can kill it, God damn it, you can kill it Kenny, god damn it, why you're so weak being modest still. And we are basically in the same scenario as earlier, and now I actually took kind of like an unnecessary hit. So it was I'm looking back on this stat, it was a misplay for sure. But I was kind of like excited to give a Tentacruel a chance to kill it off and not worry about the Incineroar, because after that he had no offense left if I got the... if I didn't get like a low roll from the Sludge Bomb itself. But because we got the low roll, what I'm assuming that it was low roll, I'm going into Gliscor and be like, alright, you can try to predict, but you'll still not be able to OHKO my Gliscor. And if it does go for the same move, I'm immune to it, and I'm basically going for a safe EQ, kill it off, or something else is having to take a hit. Aromatisse would have obviously died, and Blissey had to take a decent amount of damage from the Earthquake, and now I can go for the U-turn. And here where I'm decided that alright, instead of going to Heracross and just kill this off, I'm going for the win from here with the Incineroar. I saw this as an opportunity that alright, this is my chance to click Sword Dance not only once, but twice. Because I need two Sword Dances up to kill this Blissey off when it's around above 70% of health. So I was like, alright, we're just going all in. I'm expecting him to either sack the Aromatisse right from there and then got the save switching to Incineroar, or he's gonna try to not expect me to be a setup set, and he's expecting me just going for Flare Bridges and weaken myself up, and he basically went for that play and going for the soft boys and leave himself and whittle me down with my own recall. But because he made that play, I was like, alright, this is another turn of Sword Dance. Now you're probably trying to sack the Aromatisse, and this is where I knew that it's gonna live based on the health it was at after Stealth Rocks. I was like, I'm gonna go for my Z-Snatch. And you're gonna see that what I learned here, that I didn't know, that I didn't do my research on Z-Snatch or Snatch itself, that how it actually works as a move. Because you have literally no reason to run it unless you're running Z-Snatch. But hold below, I get the whiz as he went for the whiz itself after I got the Z-Snatch off. So I basically threw a whiz up in the air to make sure that even whatever hit I would have to take after this, I'll take it and get a whiz pass, but because we're already at +4 and we are basically OKing everything from here. The Blissey basically always died from that race, there was no way it was living. And because we have the +2 speed with the Z-Snatch, this Incineroar will be getting outsped and we get a W here. And not just any W, somehow we are able to get another 6-0 here as a start, and that's pretty unbelievable for me to believe. Even though I have had really good success in the past in leagues I've been part of, and it's not definitely my first time getting a 6-0, I'm being honest. I didn't expect, like, if someone would have said, like, yeah, you're gonna have 2 6-0s in your pool, and being back-to-back first 2 games, I was like, there's no way, you're just pulling out of my neck. There's no way that I'm able to pull that off, but some reason we are here. Good game to Carnie. He did mention that he brought the wrong team versus me throughout this game, but he mentioned around the point that my Incineroar started to set up. And let me know how you feel about this, that when do you think that if you made a mistake of bringing the wrong team, when do you think you should say it? Because to me it feels like that if you accidentally brought a wrong team for whatever reason, you should mention it right from the start and ask someone to be kind of like supporting the idea that you're not trying to cheat, and you can kind of prove yourself that you're not cheating and try to adjust what you saw that your opponent was bringing, or how you would have react on that situation. Because to me that was kind of like weird for him to say towards the end that, yeah, I brought the wrong team, but whatever. Like, to me that was kind of like, it was a weird ending for me. If you ever get the chance to see the comments what we had going through, I was still being like, I don't want to like get trash on him on that, but to me it just felt weird that he said towards the end that, oh yeah, I brought the wrong team, but whatever, it just happened. I was like, you could have said that early on, like immediately, and brought the right team. There's like, I have no problem as long as especially someone is there to support that you're not cheating. I don't really care, we can redo it and you have the proper team instead of trying to play with the wrong team. Which can easily sort of happen when you have 5 pool games to play basically, so I can see it sort of happening, especially if it's early for you like it was for him. But in any cases, that was kind of something I wanted to ask from you as viewers, if you are able to comment on it, how you would have react to it and how you would have act to it if you brought the wrong team like Carnie did on his cases. But that will be our game from game 2 in our pool. We are 2-0 and +12, which is kind of hard to believe, and knock on wood, things won't go south from here when we are going up against the others. I don't know who I'm facing exactly yet next. I've been trying to schedule with Frost, but it's been unsuccessful progress so far for us to find time to battle. So it's still in a work in progress who I'm gonna be battling next, and I cannot guarantee when I'm able to upload then that next game, but whenever I've been able to have my following games, I'm gonna be uploading them throughout this week. Hopefully by Sunday we have all the remaining of the pool games done and we know that if we are moving on or not. So make sure if you haven't subscribed, subscribe so you won't be missing out the action. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, I'll be seeing you guys later.